Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this 86th meeting of the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority. Thanks to everyone that's come out this afternoon and those joining us on G10. We've got first item we're going to talk about is our today's adoption of the agenda, and we've seen that for a few days now.
Yep. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye. Thank you. Good, very good. Next, we got our approval of minutes from our regular meeting, April 28th, 2022. Is that okay, everybody? Got a motion?
To approve.
Second. Motion second. Any comment, discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Hey, we got a couple of members being sworn in again. They're reappointments starting a new session. Who is it? Director Wright and Director, who is it? Davis? Chris? Okay. Just step down and Rose will administer the oath of office.
I state your name.
I, Ernie Wright,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
as a director
as a director
of the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority.
of the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate your service today. We've got an old
Chairman,
friend, a
we need
familiar
each one of
face
them
that
to remain
made a special
afterward.
request to have a couple of moments at the podium, and so I'd like to ask Joe Houle to step up.
First of all, thank you so very much, not only for allowing me to step up here and give you a 2-minute thumbnail of what's going on, but thank you for what you have done in the past. We've been at this for 22 years, okay? We now have in the budget, and it's all been approved, $26 million. We have $13 million in the bank in Jacksonville right now. The next $13 million will be here probably the end of between July and November, okay? And what we'd like to do is come back to the committee and brief you on the budget and how you can support to keep the lights on. We need sustained funds to help keep the lights on while we're building it, because the money that we have, the $26 million that we have, is for bricks and mortar. We can't use it to keep the lights on, to pay the insurance, or anything else. So we're looking for some help. We've got Miss Ashley has got other avenues that's helping us as well, but we can't just rely on one or two people to help us keep this thing going. But we're right, all the paperwork is in, everything's been approved. We're just now waiting for the letter to come back from SecDev, because a few years ago, everything was approved on contingency of having the money in the bank. We now have the money in the bank, so we had to go back to SecDev and say, hey, we've got the money, give us permission to put a shovel in the ground. So with that, if you have any questions real quick, and I'll get out of your hair.
Any questions?
Well, I
at this
guess the
time?
only thing we need to do, I guess, is schedule them for our next meeting.
Yeah,
So they can.
And
get
if
it on
you
the
would like,
agenda.
we can put together a little packet for everybody to see prior to, if you'd like, with what we've turned into the county and stuff, if you'd like
Well,
to do
our
that.
next meeting is June 30th. Does that give you time?
June 30th?
Mm-hmm.
Very well,
Is
sir.
that correct?
Chairman, I think there was an attempt to schedule that on July 28th instead of the 30th. Am I right, Deanna? They would not want to shift that meeting?
Oh,
Yes, we were considering the possibility of moving the meeting if it was okay with the directors and contingent that the budget would be approved.
I see. Okay, well, the 28th, or the
Very well.
28th of July.
Very well. We'll be here with bells on. And again, thank you so very much. You guys have really helped us sustain to keep this thing going for all these years. And it'd be a shame to lose this very important part of our community.
Thank
Okay?
you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. So now we'll move on to action item number 1, which is our FY 22-23 budget public hearing and adoption, hopefully. Our Finance Director, Gail Mades, will give us the presentation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you.
At this time, the Tourism Development Authority is required to hold a public hearing on the budget. As you'll recall, we set the occupancy tax estimate at $1,100,000 for next year, with total revenues of $1,230,916. And the expenditures are broken down in the broad categories that are required in the legislation, with administration at $37,850, tourism promotion at $481,617, and tourism related at $711, for a total of $1,230,916. So it will be appropriate now to recess the meeting and hold a public hearing.
Thank you. With that, I will recess the regular meeting and open the public hearing to anyone who has desire to speak to our budget adoption. No? All right, seeing none, we'll close it. Return to the regular meeting.
As there were no speakers for this public hearing, it would be appropriate to entertain a motion to adopt this budget at this time.
I make the motion to adopt the budget as presented.
Second.
We've got the motion and the second, and any more discussion? I think we've discussed it amply. All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, Gail, congratulations, another something done.
Don't you wish the city
That's
budget
right.
was like that?
Yeah. Okay, number 2 on the list today is our spending plan and approval, possible approval.
Yes.
And Deanna?
Yes, good afternoon. So now that we've adopted the budget, as we've talked about, is the big picture. And what we have in front of you is a more detailed analysis of a line-by-line item budget, which is what we're calling the spending plan. And it allows to provide guidance for staff on what you have approved for expenditures on both the promotion side and the tourism-related side. It provides structure for us to execute contracts, specifically the ones that we've talked about, the nonprofits and the promotional grants. And so at this time, what you have before you is the recommendation to approve the spending plan, excluding Jazz in the City promotion event request. And then the next course of action would be for us to potentially approve Jazz in the City, allowing Mr. Wright to excuse himself from action.
I do have a question. I do have a question, Deanna. On the page 15 of what you've given us here, the very last line item, it says penalties to BOE, $1,800. Just curious what that is.
We collect penalties on the occupancy tax if they're late filing or late paying.
Right.
But those are required by law, 90% to go to the Board of Education.
Really?
Yes.
Same thing with fines and stuff
Yeah,
for the
well,
police levy. So.
Yeah, I understand that. I didn't realize that was another money grab there. Okay.
Good. All right. Anything else?
Nope, and unless, I'm here to answer any questions that anyone might have, though.
I think we've had a lot of discussion on this in the past, and it's a good, clear plan. I appreciate the work you put into it, and sorry Anthony's not here to
Too.
show us along. Okay, great. Okay, gentlemen. Well, barring any more discussion,
The motion, we approve the spending plan, excluding the Jazz in the City.
right. Second. Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? No. Very good, very good.
That'd be Jazz in the City, right?
Right. So now the next item is, do we do a formal exclusion or reclusion?
Probably do.
So,
Well, do I need to leave the room?
no, I wouldn't say that. No, we just,
Just go behind the curtain.
It'll be
Like,
hard,
I
So
feel
we
like
got-
Brandon,
we
you
got
know,
an
I'm gonna
item.
start pulling my buttons
that's
off.
right, we got a,
it'll be hard for an attorney, but you can't say anything either.
okay. well,
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as the board, the directors are aware, Mr. Wright has an association with Jazz in the City, and under the new ethics law, he therefore has to recuse himself as far as a vote or voice on this particular item. That's why it's been segregated from the rest of the spending plan. So the rest of the directors would discuss this item and vote on
We
it.
need to vote on his, accepting his recusal?
He just,
He just declares it?
This particular ethics law does not require y'all to vote on it. Other reasons to exclude is very complicated, but no, sir, not on this particular case. You don't have to vote on it.
Well, you'll just give us a few moments of silence. We'll get this done. It's not, go ahead, please present this. Okay, we have, the line item for Jazz in the City is $6,000 in the budget, and something we've all supported over the years, and I think we're glad to support it again. It's definitely a worthwhile event. I know it's successful and will continue to be. So with that, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I heard somebody.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those four of us, you
Oh, yeah.
in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
Thank
Take the muzzle off, Ernie. All right, very good. So, wow, we're going right on
That was
into
You nailed that, Ernie.
committee reports. And we've got our tourism related, we've got a written report, I guess, included in the agenda that we had a chance to look at earlier. And that leaves us just with our promotions committee report. And so we've got the hoteliers report. Always interested to hear that. And it is going to be, Chris, go ahead.
And
Oh,
Teresa, did you want
oh,
to start
Teresa,
with
yeah.
the slides, or? Okay. Oh, there you go. I saw SS. I thought,
Right.
let's see, which one we got? So regarding the website update, the slide up on the screen is the contracts are signed and the initial redesign is underway. And as we had mentioned previously, this new design is going to have a much more contemporary look. It's going to be an open template with updated features and a faster back end. And regarding that with the back end, it's going to be more of a free-form approach to it rather than a grid outline to how we have to set up the site. So it's going to allow significantly more flexibility. We'll have much more control over image movement and selections, allow users to tab or swipe through topics and images rather than seeing them stacked. Easy adaptation to screen size when it comes to mobile platforms. An improved ADA option with an easy selection for keyboard navigation. There's also going to be a change with the social icons, as you can see up on the screen there with the previous site on the left and the comparison with the new design on the right. Our current site has those links at the bottom, and so those will be navigated up toward the top. They'll be much more visible, much more in line with what you're typically used to seeing on these platforms. And regarding that portion, are there any questions about this new design? Or I guess Teresa can probably speak more toward the ease on the back end and how much easier it will be to work with.
We are thrilled. We're so excited. Can't wait.
It's going to expedite the whole.
That's going to make our life a lot easier. And it will also add to our tracking capabilities, so we can track what people do a little bit easier on the website.
Which means a great deal.
Yeah.
So this will be the second iteration of the website? Is this the first redesign or from the original? And how long did that last us?
10 years.
Whew, okay.
So we're a little behind.
Right.
In that, honestly.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's currently at a point to where there's just nothing left to really do as far as
Time.
updating.
It was definitely time. And remember, we're doing this through Civic Plus, and we've got an incredible deal with them because they handle the city's website as well. So they offer that to the governments that have, that work with their tourisms.
And remind us of the timeline again we're working with?
We have our first meeting next week, and it should not take, they say, 4 to 6 months typically for a website, but for us, you know, maybe for the city side, it might be 4 or 5. For us, we're anticipating 90 days to maybe 4 months.
Very good. Look forward to it.
It's a lot of work.
And there's already some familiarity with this currently because
Yeah.
it is
Yes, Lisa
the
will know how to
platform the
do it.
city works with.
Very good.
Yep.
Anything else anybody got?
Yeah, I have a question. On the website, it has a phone number listed for City Hall. Who is the person that they interact with
Well,
at City Hall?
That would be the clerk's office.
Okay, so the person would be directed to the clerk's office, and they would be able to answer, hopefully, any question that they had.
Yes, sir.
And if not, where would they go next? I'm just curious.
So when we ran into this opportunity when we were looking at the grant applications, when someone has a question about the TDA, who do we call? And so we worked with the clerk's office for them to be the central clearinghouse. So the calls would come in, they would get like the one-stop shop, get the initial phone call, get the questions, and then at that point would then reach back out to staff to get a more appropriate answer if they didn't know it.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess we're moving on to the promotions report, correct?
Wait, I'm just thinking about what Ken just asked. Is that, are those, what are those? Those folks looking, they've got a question about Jacksonville? Is that what they're asking? Are they looking for more information about a particular attraction? How did we train all these folks? Why wouldn't we, well, you know, the chamber has a Oslo tourism. I know that's not a Jacksonville, but certainly just curious. I'm surprised that our clerk's office would have enough expertise to handle some of these perhaps requests.
I think it might come down to what kind of question that they're asking. If they're asking for specifics about the Tourism Development Authority, then yes, that would be something that the clerk's office would be that one-stop shop. If they're asking for, if maybe they were going to the website and the messaging was more of hotels that they're familiar with, then I would agree that that's not the clerk's office responsibility. And I think that's some of the messaging that we're putting on our website is to direct them directly to the hoteliers for those opportunities.
Okay.
And if
That's
they
kinda
ask
what-
for, if they have media questions, for instance, sometimes the media will go there
Okay.
to find some additional information. And if they have questions, they're directed either to Lisa in Media Services, if they want visitors guides mailed or something along those lines,
Okay.
or we can redirect them to Susan, who can answer if it's specific media.
Okay, I'm just curious if they had a tourist question, why our city clerk's
Right.
office would be handling that.
That would
but,
be tough.
Okay, all right.
But we don't have a tourism director, so we piece it together as best we can.
Okay.
So, thank you, Chris, for the update on the website. We are really excited about that. That's going to bring good things to tourism for Jacksonville. If you're wondering what your marketing team is up to,
Yes.
we are working. We work, I promise. A couple of things that we wanted to share with you that we briefly mentioned in our last meeting is the video shoot that we did on April 23rd. We got some terrific footage that we can use for future promotion. and for social promotion, et cetera. So the three main entities that we got this round were Mike's Farm, Yobri's Frozen Dessert Bar. You'll see these are just a couple of the stills that we got. And we also did some shots at the Marriott, Courtyard by Marriott. What we've decided is we feel like while the hoteliers have, the hotel websites themselves have great photography, they don't have what we call lifestyle shots. They don't have people in them having fun using the facilities, et cetera. So we're going to make it a point, every photo shoot that we do, we're going to include different hotels and start getting some more footage for that. It will help us promote the area and help us promote our hotels. So next up is our digital marketing campaign. We talked about that last meeting. It launched the early April, so we've got about 7 weeks under our belt. So I'm gonna, Lisa's gonna play the video just to remind you what we're running.
Ready for a vacation? One that doesn't break the bank? One you'll all remember? One the family gladly unplugs for? And has tons of fun? And even learns together? Make a short drive for a long weekend in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Ready for a vacation?
Yes?
Yes, are we all?
Yes.
So this campaign has just knocked our eyes out. It is really, really doing well. We know there's a pent-up desire for demand. People want to travel, but they really are gravitating to the ad. So we feel like we're doing the right things with it. These are the current stats. We had these pulled late last night. Google paid search ads have almost 16,000 impressions and over 2,200 clicks, which means people see the ad and they click on the ad to find out more information. It has a button on the ad that says for more info. So they'll click through to the website, to our landing page to find out what they can do with their family. So that's a lot of clicking in 7 weeks. We have a click-through rate is well above the industry standard of 1.9. We're at 14% click-through, so it's pretty strong. For our social campaign, we've got over 600,000 impressions. Our clicks are through the roof at almost 8,900, and the click-through rate is double the industry standard for that. Our post engagements, I did not have the accurate number yesterday, so I went and pulled that this morning. Didn't want to ask Lisa to update it, but just, if you will, imagine drawing a line through that. And our actual engagements are over 65,000 at this point, which means people have either clicked on the ad, they've shared the ad, they've commented on the ad, they've liked the ad, or any combination of that. But it's individuals engaging with the ad. So that's a pretty strong number. What that tells us as a marketing team is that we're putting the right message in front of the right people. It's resonating with them. So quick events update. Last weekend was Jazz in the City. I'm sorry to say I was out of town, so I was not able to attend. It was a sold-out event. And they had the event at Sturgeon City. You'll remember the band was great. It's a great band, Stanley Baird Group. I've seen them before, and they're phenomenal. So I'm going to guess that everyone had a wonderful time, as usual. Upcoming events, we have, if you'll remember, you opted to shift $5,000 from the Riverwalk Arts Festival, since they weren't happening this year, to the Pacific Arts Festival. That is coming up 18th and 19th of June. We've had a lot of activity on that campaign already. People are definitely interested in it. Ollie Temple's Charity Ball is slated for June 24 through 26. That one's going well. The Marine Corps Half Marathon is September 10th. And you'll remember that in years past, it was established several years ago, when you grant that money to MCCS for that event, they have to promote that so far in advance. So we are spending money out of the 2022 budget to promote for September's event. So we've been promoting that for quite some time. So let's see. We also, for our state partnership buys, we had our last placement, which was for a featured event. We opted to promote New River Splash. that happened last weekend. I'm not going to steal any thunder from Scott, and I'm going to let him give you the update on that. But the promotion got pretty good engagement. We wanted to leverage that with Visit NC's large following and give that event some attention. I remember Scott telling us a couple years ago when he first started, that event is a triathlon is not something that happens anywhere in the region, so we thought it would be a good little test. We also attended the Visit NC conference, staff and your marketing team. We had a chance there to attend all the workshops, and they give everything from research, marketing trends, travel sentiment, travel trends, things that are happening. And a lot of research was this year. Who's coming to North Carolina, who wants to come to North Carolina, and why. So we had 2 days of that fun. And we are able at that time also to engage with the vendors who they are in partnership with Visit NC and provide the advertising for them, for us to buy into at a much better rate. So we can talk to those vendors. We talked to a few of those. We have our ideas together for Visit NC's partnership buys for the upcoming year. I guess since the budget's approved, we can probably move forward with that. And with that, this is a continuation of some of the things that we got from the Visit NC conference, and they have a free promotion that they're offering to destinations and hoteliers. And I'm going to let Susan take over from here, and I'll just drive the screen.
Uh-oh. Welcome, Susan. We're muted. Uh-oh. Classic.
Well.
There we go. Turn it up, Susan.
Can she hear us?
Well,
Deanna, can you
text her, call her, I guess.
Best
Learn sign
presentation I
language.
heard all
maybe
day.
Lisa's communicating with her. Hold on.
Hear you, Susan.
Yeah. Unmute, if you can unmute. Are you muted?
I am so embarrassed. I was muted. I can't believe I did that. Okay. Wow. Wow. I was really focused on Flip too. I totally forgot to unmute. Okay. So, Lisa, I am still not seeing the slides if we can do that. But anyway, if we can't, we'll just keep going. I know what they say. So Flip2 is a new marketing tool that Visit NC is providing free to all DMOs. We're a destination marketing organization. That's what we are. To hotel partners, to destination partners, to even, I think if somebody has a VRBO or Airbnb short-term rental, they could also use this. Visit North Carolina is in process with this now. If you get their newsletter, you may have seen their new giveaway for the outdoors. It actually used Chitola Resort as bait for people to start down what they're calling this marketing funnel. What that means, it's just a fancy way of saying they're using their Flip2 website with branding from us to lure people in, and so that they can track their tourism journey all the way through to hotel reservations and spend. And we haven't had a tool that tracks this accurately, and that's why Visit NC is offering it free to everybody this year so that we can figure out if this is a tool we want to keep using. My hunch is that eventually they would indeed charge us for this, but we're getting a chance to test drive it. Now, how would we actually use this? What we'll start is, I believe we've got a hoteliers meeting with Onslow County Tourism in July, and we will work with they're going to be test driving this as well. And we're going to work with them to talk to the hoteliers and to our lodging providers so that they will have a short 30-minute meeting online with them and they can be connected into the system. Our hoteliers and lodging providers can also use their own marketing through this campaign. So if a hotel wants to do a campaign or something like that, they absolutely can. We think right now we're still getting our feet wet and wrapping our brains about how this works. But after watching the kinds of things that North Carolina has set up, we might set up something during Veterans Tribute Weekend where people actually nominate a veteran for the Veterans Tribute Walk in the gardens, or perhaps a veteran to be included on some other kind of massive web page or something like that. There's a chance that we might be able to really utilize this with our event partners, that if we funnel them into this system when they're promoting their events and offering their lodging partners, we can actually track which ones register for events. So there are a lot of people we need to talk to, and a lot of things that will come up. We'll also get emails so that we can do our own follow-up email marketing campaigns to these people that showed interest. There's a chance for people to share their vacation photos and things like that, and then to get their social media followers to respond and involve. So it's a credible, smart way of reaching out, and we'll see if it works for us. So thanks to Visit NC for this opportunity. Okay, moving right along, we wanted to talk about our media. No, our International Food Trail. I finally just saw the food trail, so thanks. We have talked to you about this a little bit. We think in the next week we've got a draft site in process right now. And when I say draft site, it's a page in our website. We're making a few updates and amendments. Teresa and I spent a good chunk of last week together in Jacksonville, and we went and met a lot of the people that we want to use as spokespersons for our food tour, people that we know will be very good with media. One of my favorite things about this is that the people on this trail come from such different backgrounds, but most of them are drawn here because we're a smaller town. Teresa would always ask people after I finished, diving deep on the food and where all their, culinary background came from. She said, well, why are you in Jacksonville? Many of them came here because of the base. And then some, have stayed here because it's a smaller town. There's less traffic. And of course, for a restaurant, if you've got opportunities with lower rent, that's really, really important. So anyway, this is something I wanted to have happen ever since we started, or I started working with you guys, and I'm really, really excited about the potential that this has. I've already had strong interest. One of the things that we did at Visit NC, there were about 14 different writers there. Some were national freelancers that are based in the state. Some were brought in just by Visit NC. It was a good chance to renew a lot of those media relationships, and I prepared pitches for Visit Jacksonville for each writer who was there, and we had incredible interest in this food trail. So I think it's going to be good. Okay, next. I wanted to give you a little background. Teresa told you last week, or our last meeting, that Our State magazine had just come out in print. Our story is also now online, and Our State is actually tweeting about the story that they did on Lejeune Memorial Gardens. As Teresa mentioned to you, this story has been a couple of years in the making. We pitched it to the team there a couple of times. It was great. Onslow County Tourism had invited Elizabeth out to see some things in Swansboro and on the coast, and they ran her by the gardens so that she could see it in person. Finally, the story was assigned. I worked very closely with the writer Susan Kelly and made sure that she interviewed people who knew about the garden. She interviewed Montford Point Marines. This story has a Memorial Day focus. It's actually entitled Salute to Sacrifice. I'm proud to say that we have an Instagram reel that is a video feature of the story on our Instagram playing right now. If any of you are on Instagram, I encourage you to like it and to please comment so even more people will see it, share it to your stories. We also have the online pieces up on our Facebook page right now. Again, if you can share this story, comment, like it, talk about somebody that you know in the gardens who is, that if you have someone, a loved one whose name is on those walls, we would love for you to share that and make it personal, because that's kind of in the end what it's all about, is what's personal. So anyway, extraordinary reach from our state. Like I said, they're tweeting too. You're good, Teresa, keep going. So the next, actually, go ahead, Teresa, there you go. We also had a placement in Carolina Country magazine, and their print circulation is actually bigger than our state's. This is the largest print circulation magazine in the state, and their online reach will reach about 161,000 people. Mike's Farm was included in their roundup of 8 agritourism destinations across North Carolina. I pitched the writer who wrote this story. We worked with them to provide photos, images. She did an interview with Teresa at Mike's Farm. Great cooperation from Mike's Farm. So yay on that. We'll keep going. I wanted to give you just a little bit of overview about what's happening with our social. You'll see here our most popular Facebook post this month is actually photos that Lisa took at the New River Splash event. Again, you'll be hearing more on that from Scott, but people love seeing themselves in these photos. And so those are always strong posts for us. On the Instagram feed, we did an Instagram reel of some of our Facebook stories with the opening of the Montford Point Marine Museum. So that was what was most popular this past month so far on Instagram. One of the things I wanted to draw your attention to is that this year, since January, you can keep it right here, Teresa, of 2022, we have reached 169,000 people with our Facebook alone. So that's something I'm proud of, and it's important for you guys to know how that ongoing churn of content is just so very important. Okay, and then talking again about the Montford Point Marine Museum. Once again, we worked with Lisa and the city team to get incredible photography in real time. We posted those into Instagram stories. We did the Instagram reel. And I'm just so proud of the way this story plays here. They were wildly successful. We had some live Montford Point Marines, surviving Montford Point Marines who joined us. And we literally had people from all over the country who were part of the Montford Point Marine Association that came into town and then also attended their gala the night after the museum opened. So really good stuff there. You may remember me telling you about Mallory Berger and Reginald Moore. Mallory is the granddaughter of a Montford Point Marine who did not know that she was the granddaughter of a Montford Point Marine until she saw a story in Black Southern Belle, an incredible online magazine and blog, that we had pitched and placed that story. And so what happened was she was like, gosh, my grandfather may be a Montford Point Marine. Her mom had just passed. She knew where the papers were. She went through the files. She found his discharge papers. Then she let her childhood friend, Reginald Moore, know, because she knew that Reggie was a Marine and had Marines in his family's background. And then, long story short, both of them were at the medal ceremony together. Well, we did a big video with them. We did a big media push with them. And then we have followed their progress. Just this last week, General Motors did a big article in their company magazine in honor of these two and asking, their other company members, do you possibly have a Montford Point Marine in your family? You'll notice after any coverage with the Montford Point Marines, we're always saying, do you know the city of Jacksonville? Visit Jacksonville. We are trying to find the Montford Point Marines. So through connections that Mallory and Reginald had, they went to a national media company and expressed their concern that not enough people knew about the Montford Point Marines. And there is actually a documentary in progress. I can't tell you who it's with yet. You're going to be happy when you find out, but stay tuned. So that's another really cool thing happening.
So that story is still resonating with people who are interested in the Montford Point story. So that's how these people have come together. So kudos to Susan. I don't know if I could do it, but it takes a while and it takes tenacity, and she's got it.
Well, thanks, Teresa. I appreciate that. It does take a lot more tenacity and PR than it used to. I will say that. I did ask for Black Southern Belle. I knew her first story had been so successful, and I wanted something new in her churn close to the holidays. And we didn't get it for the holidays, but it was just in time for Mallory to see it. So I'm super happy about that. Do you have the next slide?
Mm-hmm. It's up.
Okay.
Oh.
I think there's a little delay from the time you hit that click button when I see it, but we're there. Okay. I also wanted to draw your attention to Memorial Day and social media. We've changed and we have our big Memorial Day sign or gallery photo up. Memorial Day has turned out that it's always cool here, but there's some additional things happening this year. Rolling Thunder, which is a national group of veterans and pro service member personnel across the country do a ride called the Freedom Ride on the Sunday of Memorial Day every year. It happens all across the country. This year, the North Carolina group of Rolling Thunder selected Jacksonville as our host city. Scott worked to secure hotel reservation room blocks with them. I think he secured about 70 rooms for them to stay overnight. They are predicting that there may be as many as 500, possibly 1,000 motorcycles coming into our city, and that will be here over the weekend. So if you suddenly see motorcycles everywhere, this is where it's coming from, guys. On Friday night, if you are looking for something to start your Memorial Day in a very meaningful way, on Friday night at 8 p.m. in the Gardens, there will be a candlelight vigil hosted by Rolling Thunder in cooperation with us and the folks in the Gardens and that kind of thing. The city will be gathering pictures. We'll be sharing those live on social media, much in the same way that we did for the Montford Point Marine ceremony. I can't thank you enough, Lisa Miller, for your support and the city's support in working with us to get these kinds of images that make so much of a difference. On Sunday, you will see the Rolling Thunder Freedom Ride come through downtown Jacksonville close to 12:15. So if you want to take a noon Zoom right after church and come out and watch Rolling Thunder come through, the city has worked with them. There's going to be a really cool thing with fire trucks and a giant flag, and they'll roll through that right at the Freedom Fountain. It will be very powerful and very impressive. If you don't get to see it in person, you can absolutely go to our social media and the city's social media, and you'll be able to see that. So that's that. And then on Monday, we will have a Memorial Day observation at the Gardens with the Beirut Memorial folks. For the last 2 years, this has been televised and or on G10 and has not been open to the public. This year it is open to the public. That is at 11 a.m. on Memorial Day. And that will be at the Museum of the Marine, their new site destination, and that's at the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor 3D statue. They've also got some stuff about local retailers who are offering Navy SEAL fitness things, different kinds of things that the fitness centers are doing. In a town like ours, it's a good thing just to, make that known. That's a post. It's not a central post, but it's one of the things we're sharing. So just lots and lots of things about what is happening and what our guests and visitors can do on Memorial Day. So follow us on social if you aren't already.
Susan, I have a question. On Monday at 11 o'clock, will the Rolling Thunder group still be in town? Will they be in attendance?
I'm sure that some of them will be. I don't know the actual logistics plan on that. I haven't communicated with them directly, but I'm sure that some of them will stay.
Okay, thank you.
Most of them roll out Monday morning, but yeah, there will definitely be some still around.
Good, okay.
Okay. Does Scott take over from here?
Yep.
Okay. Once again, I can't see your slides, but I will introduce Scott. I can't wait.
Yay.
Scott Smith, as you all know, is the director of the Jacksonville Onslow Sports Commission. He has been a devoted and fabulous partner with us, and I am so happy that he is here to talk about a lot of the good things he's been doing. So,
All right, thank you,
Scott.
Susan. Hello, strangers.
All right, welcome, Scott.
Last time I was here, John had a full head of hair. I don't know if I did or not, so it's good to be back. Yeah, so Deanna asked me to just update you guys on maybe a little bit from the last couple of years, what's going on currently, looking to the future. And I left this fairly generic, and we can have as much dialogue as you would like. So I guess we're going to save New River Splash for the end. Maybe we've got a video for that. So just to reiterate a couple of things, there's 2 full-time staff members, myself and Marisa Reeder. We occasionally have an intern. Even with just 2 of us, we average hosting 1.6 events per month, which is sometimes a challenge. Obviously, if we do something, we want to do it right. And so, averaging more than 1 event per month keeps us definitely busy. So looking back to fiscal year 2021, and our fiscal year is July 1 to June 30th, back then, we try to track all the sporting events that happen in our area. Sadly, we know of at least 36 events that were canceled due to the pandemic. Even so, with the events that did happen, a little over 2,700 total room nights and 1.3 in estimated economic impact for that year. And as you know, there was just lots of cancellations during that time. Even some things that weren't canceled had to go virtual. So then, of course, you're still not getting the visitors because they're doing that from wherever they live. And now, from July 1 until today, we will have hosted and or supported 32 events. 24 events were canceled because of the pandemic. Even going back to last year, thankfully, really nothing in this calendar year. Over 5,500 total estimated room nights, 1.5 in estimated economic impact, and we still have a couple of biggies coming up, as you know, Rolling Thunder that we just mentioned, and of course the ECI basketball team camp, which is huge for our community. While I mention ECI, this is in the paperwork that we turn in when we're requesting money, but just to reiterate to you guys, so some of the money that you give us, we in turn give out to others. So it keeps them from coming here and asking for a few $1,000s. So we just got a check for $6,000 to ECI to help offset officials and some of their expenses. I know I was on the phone with the Wells today. They were turning teams away. So many teams want to be part of it. I think there's really only 3 local county teams right now. There's a couple on standby if somebody drops out. He says it's probably the strongest, and by that he means most talented field of teams in the 21 years of doing this. Starting last year, we have officials from the Big Ten, from the ACC, mixed in with the high school local officials, so they kind of use that as a training camp. So top-notch officials. So that event is really, really big time. We stream all of that. I shouldn't say all of it. All the games that are at the Commons are streamed out on YouTube and through the ECI website, so that if Grandma and Virginia can't get here, she can still watch her grandson play. So as you know, that event's fantastic, and that'll be I think last year was about 780 room nights for that one event. So that's a great event.
Scott, when you
Yes, sir.
say teams are being turned away, is that because of the size of the tournament or the number of venues to be used?
Well, so, venue capacity, officials, officials can only do so many games. So now, and we're going to get to that right here, but, if we ever had the one roof facility that had 12 courts or something, obviously that's a game changer. It also comes down to, you got to have staff selling tickets and all of those sort of things. So, he's already at 5 or 6 different venues. So to add to that would be too much. And to be honest, the officials, to get that caliber of officials, there's a certain number of games that they like to. So I'm not saying that if we had facilities that we could all of a sudden have 100 teams. Maybe we could, but then you might not get the same officials you have. So different. So just and these are things that we've all talked about together before. I want to give you some minuses and then we'll give you some pluses. To Ken's point, obviously, facilities are an issue here, whether that be outdoor or indoor facilities. So that does put some limitations on what we can do. You'll see the bottom line there says owned and operated events. So almost, 99.9% of our events are owned and operated, meaning we create them, we start them from scratch, and we try to grow them from there. So the minus in that is that you don't have that built-in audience. Ken travels all the time to see the grandkids play. So if they qualify for XYZ tournament, they're going. And you've got the built-in audience. You're not trying to, create it from scratch. So, that's a minus. And what I mean by limitation, so if we go to let's say our national symposium, there's 300 to 325 groups in the room that have events that you can try to bring to your community. We can, let's just use a round number, 300, we can probably bid on 5 or less because of facilities. So these folks have very detailed facility requirements. If you want us to come to your community, these are the things we're looking for. And obviously there are communities out there that meet those requirements. And so that's where they're going. And there's multiple, communities that meet those requirements. So there are, even to the events that we can create, there are limitations. That we have a race series. It's because we can do races in town. Bob is running a few of our events. We can't all of a sudden go start an 80-team lacrosse tournament because we don't have the venue to host that. So that's what I mean by limitations. Staff size, is a little bit of a limitation. As I mentioned at the beginning, to do events, if you're going to do 3 or 4 a month, you got to have a lot more people. With 2 of us, there's only so many events that we can do and do them well. We hope to add a part-time person soon. I don't know that will all of a sudden, shoot up the total number of events. Maybe we can add a couple, but that'll also just help. So New River Splash is a fantastic example. That is probably our most stressful event. It is so widespread across the community. It takes so many volunteers. Just swimming in the New River alone, we're holding our breath more than the swimmers are, I think, to hope everybody gets back safely. So our volunteers, our board members do a fantastic job. We couldn't do it without them. We're meeting with board members ahead of time and putting them in charge of certain areas. But when that's not your full-time job, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you can only do so. We try to say, here's what we want you to do, and then they don't have to run over and start doing something else like the staff does. So that's what I mean there. But let's go to the pluses. You'll notice that owned and operated events are also on the plus side. What I mean by that is they're our events. They're not here one year and then, gone to Charlotte the next. So we don't lose those events. Previously to come in here, I was in Chattanooga. Everything we did there was a bid event. We bid on state, regional, national. We didn't do one single owned and operated event. So the great part was the built-in audience. The negative part was sometimes they were there 1 year and gone, or maybe it was 2 years and gone, and then you're trying to get them back. So that has both. Obviously, we're seeing growth. Even with the pandemic, we've seen some growth in events, and that's happening. Obviously, a plus is the support from you guys and from the county to do what we're doing. And I think with our staff and board and volunteers, we're maximizing everything that we do. I think we're getting the most out of staff size, facilities, in our community that we can do. Not that we can't always improve and that, you can't create and start some new events, but I do think we're maximizing what we're doing. We're always promoting Jacksonville and Onslow County and all of our posts and everything we do. We were looking this morning, so just going back from, and Facebook is our main, we use all the platforms that are mentioned. Facebook is the main way we tend to attract folks, and just in the last 2 years, our Facebook reach has grown by 74%. So we're definitely getting Jacksonville out there to the masses. So we'll we'll show you, I'm gonna let Lisa show you, this is only like 20 seconds, and we'll talk a little bit about New River Splash since that just happened last Saturday. All right, told you it was quick. My son was going to come out with his drone, and he crashed it the night before at the evening event before, and so didn't get additional footage for us. But so you saw there, we had about 195 folks register for the event. That was up from last year. And we all think this event has potential to really grow. I mean, as Teresa mentioned, you know, Wilmington has a triathlon. There's just not a ton of triathlons in the area. And of course, that's what people are I mean, most communities have a 5K, you know, all the time, but as far as a triathlon. So those numbers are by no means where we want them to be. But I will say that this event has been a little cursed. So it was in the fall, so to give you some background, the city, the TDA actually asked us to create a New River Splash. It was to celebrate the river and promote the river. And so when we first started it, it was in the fall. Well, guess what happened? Hurricane Florence. So that wasn't great that year. And then of course we've had the pandemic for the last 2 years. So actually 195 is probably pretty good. You know, we'd like to see that be 500 someday. And Teresa and I have talked before because of, so we're down at the new marina here, and they jump off one at a time. And so that's fine. There's not a whole lot of put in points to get into the water to swim. So there are some limitations on the total number. I mean, we're not quite there yet, but there would eventually be a point where, hey, we only got so much room for the transition area and the swim and the bike and all those things. So we're definitely not there yet, but we hope to get there. This year, the base allowed us to ride through base for the cycling point, which made all the difference in the world. Our previous routes, we were very nervous. They were very dangerous. And so these routes were great. The cyclists raved about being able to go down Wilson Boulevard. It was fast. It was smooth. Had a little bit of a rolling because of going over the overpasses that they had to build. So they absolutely loved it. But I wanted to kind of give you a story that I hope New River Splash and even some other events can happen. So when we started the Sledgehammer Beach Run, it's the first Saturday in February, and you guys have received these things in your emails, but the first 3 years, and again, some of that was also during pandemic, but we were 150, I mean, the rest is about 150 people. On year 3, it was 150, but we noticed that our out-of-town numbers were way up. But then this year, we went from 150 to 303. We had a 52% increase. Didn't do a whole lot different. I mean, we did a little more advertising, but, you know, when you're doing a new event, back to my point, it takes some time, word of mouth, them seeing the Facebook and Instagram and all those. Oh, I recognize Sledgehammer. I recognize New River Splash. But the great thing about the 303 was that 52% of those folks were from outside of our area. So that's what we're hoping will happen on New River Splash with some of the other events, because they're all fairly new. You know, outside of the football jamboree and some of those things that have been around for a while, a lot of these events are new since I've been here. And I guess in July we'll have been here 6 years. So, and some of these are only 3 or 4 years old. So I wanted to share that because I know when we talk to our board about starting a new event, we always say, you've got to give it at least 3 years before you even start having the discussion of, is this an event we keep or is this an event we drop? And then, of course, you throw in 2 years of pandemic and some other things, and then you probably even have to give them longer than that. So we're happy with New River Splash. We want to see it grow more, and we appreciate all that you guys have done, Teresa and Susan and others, for promoting that. You know, we're coming off we missed 2 years there of Hall of Fame that we just had a couple back in April. So it's good that I think hopefully we're getting back to normal. But I didn't want to stand here and talk the whole time. I wanted to see what questions you all had and address something you wanted to know, a question you had, anything along those lines.
Well, I'm curious, did you have like a grand winner for the triathlon, or was it categorized, or?
Yeah, so the way we do all of our races, we have top overall male, top overall female, and then we have top overall male, top overall female masters. That's 45 and up. And then we also have first place for each age group, and those are divided into increments of 5. So we had we had a 79-year-old, and he only did the 5K. So we do, at all of our races, we offer a 5K only for those that want to do that. So, yeah, we have them from 5 and 6 year old up until 80. So, yes, sir.
Okay, neat. Okay. Other questions? Let's talk.
Bob's won a medal in his age group before, some of our races, yeah. But we just appreciate your support. Obviously, we couldn't do what we're doing, and in the partnership, it's
I
great.
just pretend that a creditor was chasing me, and I got pretty quick that way.
Is there anything else you wanted me to touch on?
No, and I really appreciate you coming and giving us an overview of some of the challenges that you've been able to overcome, and I'm super excited to see what's in store for the Sports Commission for the coming year.
Yeah, there's a couple of new things we're talking about, got up our sleeve looking at, but and we're always open to, you know, suggestions. I mean, we've had people come and say, I saw this in this city or this town, and you know, sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't, depending on what we have, but we're always open and willing to look and listen and research things and talk to folks. But yeah, I think we were able to keep things going through the pandemic, and it should be all up here from here.
That's a great report. Now, when is the ECI?
ECI is June 23rd through the 26th. It's always the last Thursday in June.
Okay, great.
Scott, I have a question for you. You know that the city has bought a huge piece of property. In your opinion, what types of outdoor facilities should the city look at to put on that site?
So if we're strictly talking outdoor, I would say rectangle fields. I would say probably minimum of 8. Even better if it's 10 or 12. Lighting on as many of those as you could. And I would even say if there were 4 artificial turf fields, that's a game changer as well. And the reason I say that, so if you build them in the right dimension, rectangle fields, you can do soccer, you can do football, tackle and flag football, you can do lacrosse, you can do Quidditch, field hockey, lots of different things, not to mention, you know, ultimate frisbee. I mean, it's pretty limitless because most fields, if you have the soccer dimensions, most all other fields fit within that. Obviously, I say lighting because, so we used to host a quick stick lacrosse, and we've not hosted that last couple of years for a couple of reasons. One is facility. 2 is just trying to find a sponsor to offset the officials' cost. And sponsors aren't coming out of the woodwork for, I should say local sponsors are not, because there's not a lot of local lacrosse high school teams. It's mostly out of town. But that's done in February. The last game had to start by like 3:45 or it's going to be dark. So that limited the number. Now, that was also trying to do it on 4 or 5 fields, so that the number of fields changes that a little bit too. And then the other thing that happened with that tournament was it got rained out and canceled a couple of years. It would rain really hard for 2 or 3 days. Same thing with football jamboree, standing water. You can't risk injuries. And so if you have some artificial turf fields, then the tournament could go on, so to speak. You might have to readjust your schedule. But if you have lights and if you have artificial turf, you don't have to cancel it altogether. So, quick, top of my head answer for you there, but rectangle fields gives you so many options on so many different sports. Not to say that we shouldn't have softball, baseball fields, but rectangle fields gives you a lot of options.
Well, thank you for Scott. That was a great report. Glad to hear it. Oh.
Absolutely. And one question, I guess, as a follow-up to your response to Ken, and the example that you used earlier with a nice round number of 300. Of the 5 of those that you mentioned that we may be able to accommodate, would there be something that sticks out among the other 295? Would, like, for example, would the rectangle fields address something that really sticks out?
Oh, I mean,
How many more would be on
so
the
now
platform?
that 300 number probably goes to 50, 75 events you could bid on.
Right.
Because every soccer organization, every football organization, every lacrosse organization, all those you can go to. So of the 5 in the room, they tended to be, and actually we bid on and got one, if you remember when we hosted the Fishers of Men fishing tournament. Now bass fishing isn't huge here, so that was kind of a small thing, but it tends to be a fishing, a running that we already kind of do. Those were the kind of things that we were, because even some of those smaller ones, Chris, they, let's just stick with soccer since we're talking about rectangle fields. They'll say you have to have 8 fields, 4 have to be lit, you have to have, a concession stand and, whatever. I mean, they get into the details, but even the smaller ones are going to be asking for, 6, 8 And the other thing is, if we built, something tomorrow, you're still in competition with all the other cities that have those things. So where the land is, massive selling point. You're within 10 minutes of every hotel, restaurant, shopping, whereas if you're in Atlanta, it may take you 45 minutes to get from your hotel to the facility. So that's a huge plus. But it's also going to be some of the other amenities. Maybe it is that half of them are turf. Maybe, hey, there's also a walking trail and a playground for the younger. So those things are what's going to make us stand out. But you can't even submit the bid if you don't have the minimum number of required fields that they ask for.
Scott, so everybody understands, everybody in this room understands what we have in front of us. I'd like for you to elaborate a little bit more on the setup that we do have in location to that land as far as the restaurants and the motels are concerned. That's unique. That doesn't exist in probably 90% of the communities that are bidding on these properties. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah. So typically, if you're going to have 400 acres, it's out away from, somebody's farm that you bought or whatever. It's typically not really close to a lot of those things. So obviously, having been there and done the same job in there, I can speak to Chattanooga. There was a softball complex downtown Chattanooga, so it was close. But then the other complex, so typically the tournaments were at 2, it was at the best traffic time would take you 25, 30 minutes to get there. And if it was morning or afternoon, you may be 45, 50 minutes or better to get there. And that's kind of everywhere. I mean, a lot of these that you've traveled to, we've talked about before, they're on the outskirts of town. So or if, now with what we're talking about, we would be at one location, which is also a great selling point. They wouldn't be necessarily traveling from there to another venue. It is unique. It's to be that, in between games, you can run to a restaurant. A lot of places you can't do that. You're going to be packing a lunch or just waiting until all your games are finished to eat. We would even have the capability, and again, I'm dreaming into the future, but depending on the event, there may even be opportunity to offer shuttle service because things are so close, and you could do it frequent. If you're out in the thing and you offer a shuttle service, it's going to be an hour before the shuttle. You'll run once an hour. Here you could run it every 20 minutes or something. So there's a lot, and again, those are going to be the things that. Obviously, a new facility always attracts eyes. People want to go play in a new facility. but it's going to be some of the additional selling points that we have. We're not the easiest community to get to, so we got to overcome that some. But some of those extra selling points will be what can make us stand out. The facility has to be done right, and then we've got to promote affordability. We've got to promote how close you are to everything, how close you are to the beach without necessarily paying the beach pricing. So that will be the selling points if we ever get to that point that we're bidding on these regional, national type events.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right.
A lot of good information.
Thank
there.
you for
Appreciate it,
allowing me
Scott.
to come share with you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Teresa and Susan. A lot of good information this evening. Okay, got to the point where we're looking at director's comments.
Mr. Chairman, can we go back to something we've already covered a little bit, but on page 19, down at the very bottom, can those of you that know, can you tell us where we stand with the design of the stream crossing? Is it on schedule? We don't need to know the full details, but are we on schedule, or are we behind, or where do we stand on that?
Bob, you're probably most oriented.
Yeah, I guess so. Probably not up to date, but last I heard that we'd have design by July. Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, but design by July and start work late summer. Is that what we're thinking?
Jason sent an update this morning to
Okay. There you go.
I can get that report.
Okay, John.
The initial transfer paperwork was sent weeks ago. As I expected, we haven't heard anything back from the Corps.
That's going to be the sticking point.
In the meantime, we have surveyed all the crossings, and I've completed the wetland crossing designs. It says they have been final plotted and are sitting in my chair. I'm going to have staff prepare the wetlands impact submittal and calculate the mitigation cost, and then show them to the city staff to make sure we don't want to make any revisions before we request mitigation credits. Once we have confirmed the credits with the mitigation bank, we will submit to the Corps for approval. So there's no exact timeline in there, but they're moving through the process, and it sounds like we should be through that easily in early June and get it submitted.
Well, I'm familiar with the Corps' slowness. There's not any chance that they would drag their feet to the point where, well, let me back up and say it this way. If the Corps drags their feet, extensions will be coming from the state because of that. Is that a fair statement?
Well,
Let's ask our attorney.
The Corps is way behind on a number of things.
Well, I know you've got a timeline that you've got to meet.
Yeah, next year though, it's not this
I know,
year.
but,
Right,
hey,
it's December of next year.
I've dealt with the Corps too.
Well,
Next year it gets here before you know it.
Yeah, it's true.
That was my reason, to some extent, for my email to Jason this morning, to get an update and to make sure that Ron and I were kept apprised as to his progress going forward, since Richard was not here before, and Richard and Jason converse frequently. But yes, sir, Jason is quite well aware, as you know, of the deadline, and I'm sure we would be seeking an extension if we could not get the approval. But let's all hope that we can get that approval and get that in place. That's a big first step.
Okay.
And we're aware of that, and we'll keep on top of it.
The reason I'm asking these questions is that the city's probably not going to move on that property until they've finalized the crossing and everything. So everybody needs to understand that as far as the outdoor facilities are concerned, we're really waiting for that project to move along before you move on to what can or can't be used or, for that property.
And that crossing is very important because on the other side of that stream or whatever, there's a significant piece of developable land.
Right,
for part of this. And so it's an important deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah, well, I just think it's important for all of us to have a little patience, none other than myself, because I'd like to see a steam shovel out there tomorrow. But I do understand the complications, I understand the timeline, so, we just need to be mindful that there's things beyond our control that we have to wait on, but there may be some things that we can do in the meantime to move at least a portion of what we'd like to do down the road. We don't have to wait.
I think we probably put it a little bit on the back burner just because of the elections.
Oh, yeah, I
Get
understand
through,
that,
so.
yeah, as you should have. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the update. I just wanted everybody to understand what our timelines are, and I know we're all anxious to do some things, but we're probably going to have to wait on some of it.
Lots of steps along the way.
Yeah.
Were you going to add something?
I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, at some point, I'd like you to entertain a motion to move or cancel the June 30th meeting and make it now July the 28th, 3:30, since you have already passed the budget. And Anthony and I and Deanna do not believe there's a need for a June 30th, but we do encourage you to meet on June the 28th if everybody feels like they could be here. And of course, you already know Mr. Houle would like to come back and make his presentation at that time.
Talking about canceling the June 30 meeting and adding or
Yes, or just add July 28th so we can give public notice. 3:30.
a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good. We got the calendar set too.
On vacation.
Oh, well.
Was that a bad week? We could move it a week earlier, Mr. Warden. We would just do it because
Week early would be better for me. I'm actually on vacation that week.
Let's get,
I made my
23rd.
motion to say July 21st.
correct.
Okay. All right.
July 21st at 3:30, is that good?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so our next meeting will be
Thank you.
July 21st. Okay. May, June, about 2 months. That's very good. All right, other directors' comments, insights?
Good meeting.
Yeah, great. A lot of information. Appreciate everybody's work. And I guess we will see you on July 21st.
21st.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank